thought we'd do a little primer on the care and feeding and selection of disposers. Okay? It starts here at the lowest end. This is the least expensive model. It has nothing but a motor, a grinder, no insulation at all.
It's going to cost us what?
About $60.
And how many horsepower?
This is about 1/3 of a horsepower.
Okay.
As you start moving up, what changes is, like this middle of the road here is 3/4 horsepower insulation, so it's a lot quieter. Okay, and also has an anti-jamming feature, which is auto reverse. Each time that the grinder feels a restriction, it starts going the opposite
It's going
way.
to help keep it unclogged. What does this guy cost us?
It's about $180.
All right.
This one here is the top of the line for power, about 1 horsepower, super insulated, but also has another feature up here, including the auto reverse, is that it's a batch feed. And that means that you put the food down here, and the only way it comes on is if you put this down and give it a click. That's how it activates the disposer.
So whereas these work off of a wall switch, this only works when you make contact
and that's a great safety feature. The only thing that goes down is what you decide to, and no way can kids get down there. And
good for a retrofit too, because you don't have to put a wall switch. What is this guy going to cost me?
That's about $250.
Okay.
Now, I want to show you this one. This is an interesting new addition. This is designed for septic systems. Normally, you cannot have a disposer on a septic system because you don't want all that organic matter into a septic field.
All right. So what makes it so special for a septic system?
This adds an enzyme into the discharge every time this is used, which helps to break down that additional food products that are going out into it.
So there's a liquid in here that's released.
That's right.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right.
So some different options here. Now, inevitably, these things are going to jam. I love mine, but it does jam.
That's right.
And there's got to be some tips on how we prevent that.
The only way you're going to understand is to look inside this.
You and your cutaways.
I do love my cutaways. Here's what you see above the sink right here. Okay? We pull this out. There you can see the splash guard. Let me break this down. This part comes off.
That's the collar.
Now here is the splash guard. And now when we look down in here, you can see there's a stainless steel wheel right here. There's teeth. And this will spin, and it's going to puree or liquefy the food products and drive them down through these small holes and also against these teeth. Now it'll drop down through here into the discharge right here and out to drain right
Sure, absolutely. So it's the spinning right here of this plate that's actually going to cause all that grinding. So that's what's going to end up jamming.
That's right.
What's going to cause it to jam?
Oh, it's a long list, I tell you.
What's on the list?
Well, I tell you, in my house, it is always a spoon. That thing goes down there, it comes out like a pretzel.
Right.
But there's other culprits. One is any sort of coin, jewelry, like rings going down there.
All right, but those are foreign objects, and they've got no place in a disposal. What about food stuff? Can we put any food in there?
Well, you want to be careful about stringy vegetables. So corn husks are terrible. Celery strings, because they get jammed up. And artichoke leaves are not
Why
bad.
don't we like the stringy stuff?
Well, think about what happens. It gets down in here. Now, those could never pulverize a stringy vegetable enough to get it down through those small holes.
Gotcha, okay. All right, so now when mine jams, I've actually got to crawl underneath the sink, and I was given a wrench, and I try to kind of turn it and wrench it backwards. Is that the best way to do it?
Well, there's one way to do it. Most disposers are shipped with a small Allen wrench like this.
That's what I've got.
At the very bottom, you see an Allen connection right here. Now, while I'm down here, I want to point out one more thing, and that is a reset button. If you did have a jam, this motor would overheat, and this button would pop. So you would have to hit that button. Now, if I'm trying to clear the jam, and I move this back and forth, what would happen is if it's jammed up in there, it might come free.
So that's that whole idea of reversing direction.
Right. So now the challenge is how do you get that part out of it? You don't want to put your hand down there.
You never want to stick your hand down.
So there's a bunch of ways. You can try tongs. There's also a really cool tool, which is an extractor.
Look at this device.
Okay, so now I can get down into a tight space and try to pull that back out.
Very clever.
Okay.
You've always got something.
There's some other tools, though. If that doesn't work, the next line of defense is a couple of broomsticks.
Broomsticks?
You come in and you cross them this way, and now you try to push it this way.
So give yourself a little leverage to help turn it.
That's right.
That'd be a little unwieldy.
And this tool is a favorite. This is designed expressly for this. It allows you to come down through the opening in the sink, and now it sits down right here and works much like the broomstick, but it really makes a positive bite.
All right, well, thank you.
All right.